This section here under leaf controls controls the middle section of the leaf. At the moment it's this green shape. I'm just going to turn down the resolution of the marble so we get a better look. Okay, the first one, number of leaf shapes, is the amount of these shapes that make up the middle. That goes from 2, which is quite a flat individual shape, up to 5, which is more of a star shape. Just going to take that back to 3, which is a default. The next one is resolution of leaf. That's the amount that that leaf shape is subdivided. It goes from 0 to 100. 100 might look a bit high resolution. That could be perhaps if you were doing a close-up or a large print render. Also, that 100% will come into play with the settings beneath it, which I'll show you. So the next one is leaf twist, which twists the middle section. You can go one way or the other, go quite a lot, or just a little bit. Again, if you have the resolution turned down, you'll start to see stepping, so you might want to pump that up until you get a good smooth edge, or right to the top is subdivided by quite a lot. The one under that is leaf bulge. That bulges the leaf shapes out in the centre to make them more spherical, so they fit the marble shape better. Again, these all work with the different amounts. Back to 3. When you take leaf bulge back to 0%, that scales the inner section down to be just a thin slither. Some marbles have quite, obviously look like that, quite thin. So turn the resolution down. Again, that you can twist that, add resolution. Okay, these are all resettable to default. You can shift click on them all and go reset to default. It's probably a lot quicker. Okay, the next one is shrink leaf shape. That shrinks the section down in the middle from 50 to 100. 50 might look a bit small, but once you've dealt with the index of refraction from the glass, it actually renders up a little bit bigger than it appears in 3D. And 100% gets pretty close to the edge. It doesn't go through. I've made sure of that. But what that does is when it gets quite close to the edges, the index of refraction is a bit more severe, and you start to get, it starts to warp quite a lot. It's up to the user. 75 is a pretty good number. Okay, the next one is off-center leaf. And what that does is it puts the leaf into a moony kind of thumbnail clipping shape. Some marbles have the central, it doesn't go up and down through the middle, it follows the contour of the sphere. Again, you can twist that once it comes in and out. It's not, you might want to add a bit more resolution because it is distorting it a bit more. And when it gets close to the edge, you have to always keep in mind of your index of refraction, because the closer it is to the edge, the more it will refract around. So, for example, you can see on there it's getting quite. It is appearing to be right up against the edge. So that's when the shrink. You can shrink them down quite a lot in the middle, and it doesn't. So you've warped it with the off center, but it's still not going to look like it's sitting right at the edge of the glass. all of the leaf controls are fully animatable. For example, if you want to twist your leaf from negative 150, say up to positive 150, I'm just holding a command and clicking on the add keyframe, and it's fully animatable. You can open your F curves and change it all. Yeah, so they can all be animated. Okay, the next bit I'm going to cover is the custom colouring system I've set up for this marble. I'm just going to again down the resolution of the glass so you can see what's going on. In your controls down here you have the control over 5 of the sections for the marble you made. So again you've got 2, 3, 4, 5. They're all individuals. Let's take that back to 3 for now. I've supplied a few individual colours that you can apply. Orange, blue, that's a yellow to a red fade, white, some more traditional looking marbles, stripes, a rainbow. Yeah, you get the idea. So what happens here is you can drag any one of these textures onto the leaf colour shapes and it will colour them. So if you go for 2, you've obviously got leaf 1 is the orange one there, and leaf 2 is the green one, or blue. So I'm going to take it up to 4. You can just drag and drop to get an orange marble. And change the numbers, everything else still works. With these colours you can open them up and you'll get a rough idea of what I've done to make them. There's a few gradients and luminance channels, so you can make your own based on the ones I've already made. The other way I've done it is I've made a script up here called Color Generator, and at the moment it's set to green. You'll see down here in your materials you have a color called Custom. So what that does is, say for example your client had, I don't know, a color I haven't got, red. So you can come in here, enter your red settings, let's just say it's that one there, and now the custom color has changed. So you can just drag that custom color back onto your marble. And that's your custom color. And at any time you want, you can come in and change it. So they say, oh no, it's red. It's not red, it's green. So it'll update to green. That has shading in it. That's already all worked out to shade it properly. If you want 2 marbles with 2 different colours, let's just say I've copied and pasted that marble and move it over here. I want 1 green and maybe 1 red. I can get my generated green, I can copy that and paste it, and in my colour generator I might make the other colour that they want, a red. At the moment they'll both go to red. If you just select your marble copy, you can just drag in your copy of your custom colour. It's no longer affected by the generator. Obviously that can go, and it's only going to affect that one. So it's good for making colours, you can just generate them and then copy and paste them, and then change the colour maybe to a blue. There's the custom colour there. I can copy and paste that. So now I've got 3 custom colours made from my colour generator. Obviously the marble that is still linked to the custom colour will always update to the latest, but you can just drag and drop anything over into the colour fields from the ones you've just made as duplicates. The other handy function of the colour generator script is you can animate from one colour to another over time. For example, if you select, we'll start with this, we'll start with the blue, and you hold Command click to set a keyframe. I'm just going to move forward and then select another colour. Let's go down to a yellow and then select another keyframe. If I play that, you'll notice that goes from blue eventually slowly to yellow. The top section is called marble data, and that mainly deals with the outer sphere of that is the marble. Okay, the top one is resolution of marble, and what that is, it's just the resolution of the sphere, high res and low res. It is on render perfect, so even if it's down low, you'll still get a perfect circle. The reason I've got it set for high res and low res is more display purposes and for dynamics. I've got it set up for some pretty basic dynamics. It was quite hard to work out what a marble should be, because when it bounces on a hard surface like concrete, it bounces quite high. When it bounces on wood, it doesn't bounce much at all. So I've left that at a fairly good default. The user can move that around depending on what your preferences should be. And also, you don't want to leave it on low res for the dynamics, because as you can see, it doesn't do a very good job. It kind of clunks around. Whereas if it's high res, you get a nice, more of a rolling marble look. So I would suggest if you were doing dynamics to do the animation with a high res marble and then cache it and turn it down so it's more easy to view and it's less stress on your system. The next preference is bubbles on. What that does is it turns on these little bubbles that are within the marble. They look quite small on screen, but when you render them, the index of refraction scales them up obviously quite a lot depending on where they are within the circle. So the amount of, just put that back to default, the amount of bubbles is the next slider down. That's just from 0 to 100. 100 is quite a lot. And the one after that is randomized bubbles. That's just a random seed generator. If you've got perhaps more than one marble with bubbles and you don't want them to look identical, just random seed some. Underneath that I've got smooth bubbles on. What that does is it puts a hyperNURBS type calculation onto the bubbles. You'll see there they get high and low. That's more for if you're doing extreme close-ups, you know, like just maybe a single marble, or if you're doing a print resolution render. As I said before, the index of refraction can magnify the bubbles, so perhaps you want, if they start looking a bit low quality, you can turn that on. It does increase the render time because the bubbles will have index of refraction and reflection as well. Let's turn that off. The one under that is old glass texture, and what that does is if you look at the bottom in your textures, you have marble glass. Let's turn those bubbles off. When you click that on, it swaps out the texture for a old, more of a worn, slightly darker, slightly wrinkled and worn out glass texture. It's not as opaque and it's not as reflective either. It's got these slight divot lines that you get in more of the old glass marbles. And the next one down is turn off internals. What that does is it just turns off the leaf shapes and the bubbles. If you've got, say you're doing you've put your marble in a emitter and it's emitting quite a lot, and you just want to turn the insides off to speed up your display and your frames per second. That will turn them off and on. They still render, they're still there, they're just turned off visually. The good thing about that as well is if you have two marbles, just turn that on, and say one doesn't have bubbles and the other one does, if you shift select them you can still turn off the internals and turn them on. It doesn't override the bubbles visibility or render, whether it's rendering or not. And also when you copy and paste a marble, the glass texture copies and pastes as well. I've kept that separate so that if you want to have one with an old glass and one with a new glass side by side, each one has its own separate glass texture assigned. For example here I've got one that's old and one that's new.